Welcome to the Rocky and Micey Show, everyone. Breaking news, obviously, here we have Tom Brady officially announcing the retirement. There was speculation earlier in the week that, in fact, Brady retired, and I went on Twitter, and I'm like, guys, I'm confused, man. Is Brady retiring or not? I was so confused. We saw some people say yes, and some people were like, well, not so fast. But sure enough, it seems that Brady himself has announced that he's, in fact, retiring. The all-time great, right? Greatest quarterback of all time, according to most. The question is, though, Meisty, greatest quarterback of all time. Fine, we'll give him that. We'll give Mr. Tom Brady that. Will we give him the greatest athlete of all time? Now, when we say athlete, we're not talking about quickness, speed, definition. We'll get to what the definition of athleticism is exactly, but I'm not going to focus on that right now. Really, what I want to focus on is dominant in his sport. Was he the most dominant player in his sport compared to other players in other sports, Meisty? What do you think?
Domination, yes, because he was in 10 of 22 Super Bowls. He won 7 of those, right? So obviously, in the time that he played, he dominated. Now you're going to have a lot of people though who are going to be like, well, there's a lot of scandals, right? There's a lot of scandals along the way, which doesn't help him. Right. So if you're talking about dominating, he definitely isn't the best. I mean, you have guys like Usain Bolt who never lost a race in his life, So no, he's not the greatest. He's not the most dominant. You had guys like Michael Phelps who 2008 was extremely dominant. So, but that's really only one. I guess that's an Olympics. But yeah, so he definitely dominated the sport of football. He is the most dominant football player ever.
Okay, well, that's not the question. You're avoiding the question, number one. Number two, Barry Bonds would be disqualified by that logic because he had the whole steroid thing. Although I would argue that Barry Bonds is one of the best athletes of all time, right? He was one of the most dominant players in his sport, possibly the most dominant player in MLB history. But the problem is you have a lot of players that are close to Barry Bonds. You have the Babe Ruth of the world, Mickey Mantle, all those guys. But in Tom Brady's case, you don't really have a quarterback close to him in accolades, in Super Bowls, in MVP. Man's got 3 MVPs. I think Rodgers has 4, but 3 MVPs. I mean, this man, if he would have played 4 more years, he would have surpassed 100,000 yards passing. Now, passing yards is not my favorite stat, but when you're talking about accolades and 624 touchdowns, and I mean, and the guy, and what's fine. You know what? Before I get into that, yes. What's it? What I asked you. Is he the most dominant in his sport? Now, that's counting Babe Ruth. That's counting Michael Jordan / LeBron, whoever you want to put out there. Compared to his sport, is he the most dominant out of any other athlete? You said he's the most dominant in football. That's not what I asked.
No, I already said no, he's not. Because like I said, there's guys like Usain Bolt who never lost a race.
Who is?
That is the most. Usain Bolt never lost the race, Rocky.
Bolt.
He never lost the road. No one
fine,
ever.
Let's go. Fine.
Until he pulled his hamstring.
Fine. So you got Usain Bolt, if you're going to count, track and field, everything. Now let's just go big 4, NHL, MLB, NBA, NFL. Who you got?
That's okay. So you're talking about American sports. You want to know?
I got both. We hit Usain Bolt. Now let's hit the American sports.
Okay, fine. How about Muhammad Ali? Can I say Muhammad Ali in boxing?
I said NHL, NBA, NFL, MLB. 4 options.
No.
Out of those.
I'll tell you, Shaquille O'Neal dominated basketball in his prime. No one can stop Shaq in his prime. But
that's true.
On the Big Four, yeah, because he won more. The whole purpose is winning. Now the question is, how much cheating did he do? Because I really take certain amounts of cheating, and you can flip and flop, and I have my where I draw the line. Where you deflate balls is not an issue to me. That's fine. I don't really care about those things, right? I care about when you do other things, like when knowing the other team's playbook. That's Bill Belichick. Other things like that, I'm not a fan of. So
you don't like Barry Bonds.
So I'm trying to think. No, I don't like Barry Bonds. No, I don't. No, I like guys like Pete Rose, but not Barry Bonds. No, I would have to say that you really want an answer to this question. The answer is yes. In the Big 4, Tom Brady is the most dominant. Oh, which is the stupidest thing, but yes, he's the most dominant.
That's what I was looking for. You're calling me stupid for choosing this topic? No, listen. No, it was the question. You answered the question. No, so here, listen. I this is my take on it. it's hard to top Michael Jordan. But the problem is LeBron James has gotten so close. Now, I'm not going to go as far as say LeBron James the best basketball player of all time. I'm not old enough to watch Michael Jordan. That's another problem. We're very young, so we haven't really watched a lot of these all-time players. But for the last 20 years, the most dominant player in his sport, yes, I would say, is Tom Brady. Like I said, he's topped all the accolades. A man that, in the first 10 years of his career weren't that great. Like he got 3 Super Bowl victories, and he wasn't really that great in the playoff runs or in the regular season. 2007 came along, one of the best years of his career with Randy Moss. They went 16-0. And then sort of had this little gap where he was good, not the best quarterback in football, but probably 3rd to 6th best quarterback in football. Then all of a sudden, he got this extra surge, man. From 2014 and on, this man was probably the best quarterback in football over the last 7 years. And that was from 36 to 44 about, right? From the age of 36, the man played the best football of his career until he was 44 years old. And this year he was legitimately, there's an argument that he was the best quarterback in football. Not only, it wasn't like Drew Brees. Remember Drew Brees last year? You knew he was limited. Smart player, a little like Big Ben this year, except he wasn't as good as Drew Brees. Smart player, you knew he had the mechanics, you knew he can make good decisions, but he didn't have the arm strength. He didn't really have the talent, simply didn't have the talent to bring the Saints to the promised land. Brady had the big playability in him until this day. He could have played another year and still made big-time throws. He led the league in big-time throws this year. The man was great 20-plus yards down the field. The fact that he was able to do that the last 8 years of his career, throwing the ball down the field better than anyone in football, yes, I've never seen a resurgence or just progressively getting better throughout his career till mid-40s, a guy like Tom Brady. So I have to say yes, but Jordan's there. And, LeBron's there, and Wayne Gretzky's there, and Babe Ruth and Barry Bonds, and there's a lot of guys that are there. But because of the sheer fact, longevity is very important, I think, in this conversation. And not only longevity, but just getting better as your career went on, Micey. I've never seen anything like what Brady's done now. The fact to say Brady is a top 5 quarterback now is insane at 44 years old. To say he's the best quarterback in football is just remarkable. And that's what Brady's accomplished. What Brady's accomplished is like no other athlete has ever accomplished. Now, Morty, we wanted to bring up the definition of athleticism because when I said best athlete of all time, I didn't mean is he the quickest, is he the fastest, like what you saw Jordan do under the rim, jump up and stay in the air for 5 seconds at a time. Unbelievable. But athlete, like I said, best professional sport player or most dominant in their career, right? There's different ways to define an athlete. But if you're talking about best athlete of all time, Ice-T, then yes, Tom Brady's not the best athlete of all time. He's very good at the quarterback sneaks. We discussed that. But he's not necessarily that Lamar Jackson's the best athlete in football right now, right? Tom Brady is way better than Lamar Jackson, but he's not as good of an athlete as him. So that's obviously a bad comparison. But we bring up the athleticism. We need to get the definition of athleticism there.
Yeah.
Morty, what's the definition of athleticism?
So it really depends on how you define it. Google will tell you got to be quick and fast and stuff like that. Merriam-Webster website says, definition of athlete: a person who is trained or skilled in exercises, sports, or games requiring physical strength, agility, or stamina. So it really depends how you want to take it. If you want to take it that you just have to be overall the most athletic, like Micey saying, like Joe Burrow. And like, it really brings into question of like, I would say basketball versus baseball, right? Where basketball, pretty much anyone on a basketball team is, I would say, probably more physically fit than most baseball players. But baseball does require much more skill than any basketball move does. So if you have a standard basketball player and a standard baseball player, who would you say is more athletic?
Right. Well, that's why I went to the Jordan argument because, if you put Barry Bonds against Michael Jordan was far more athletic than Barry Bonds was, but what Barry Bonds did on a baseball field is unmatched. So, that's sort of where I went with that.
Jordan was a good baseball player, don't get me wrong.
What?
Michael Jordan was a baseball player.
Yeah, that's true. Good point.
Yeah, Jordan might have this one. He's got.
But yeah, Morty, is there a picture of Morty when you search the definition of athlete? Was there a picture of this guy there? Also,
I saw you did that, Morty. Who do you think? So, what do you think? Do you think Brady is the most dominant player for his sport, or do you think it's in the Big Four? Or do you think it's someone else?
For his sport, yes.
You think it's Brady?
Actually, though, this is
That is
interesting.
correct.
What are we saying here?
Is Brady the most dominant player for his sport? So you got Gretzky, you got Jordan, LeBron, whoever you want to put out there. Barry Bonds, Babe Ruth.
Maybe Crosby. But if you just Google athlete and you look up, it has examples of athlete and it has a few players here. All right. So I'm gonna go through top, I don't know, 7, I think it is. There's
Let's hear.
Jim Thorpe.
Who?
Jim Thorpe.
Jim Thorpe.
Canton Bulldogs. American athlete, Olympic gold medalist.
Yes.
Or I don't know what. Anyways, okay. So we have Jim Thorpe, Usain Bolt, LeBron James, Tiger Woods,
LeBron James.
Michael Jordan, Serena Williams, Lance Armstrong, and Michael Phelps. So you see, they put Tiger Woods next to LeBron, even though LeBron would probably.
Well, hold on. Okay, hold on a second. Tiger Woods did something. Where's my video? Sorry, I'm back. Tiger Woods did something that will probably never be done again. He had a perfect season practically. He won everything, a whole season. He destroyed an entire season of golf, which is just, it's mind blowing. So and then he did it for years. So it's very. What, you like my joke, Burr?
I'm just seeing it now.
So it's very so each guy has different to their sport how dominant to their sport. Muhammad Ali dominated his sport. Floyd Mayweather dominated his sport. Michael Phelps and Usain Bolt, they dominated their respective sports, right? No one even came close to Usain Bolt. Like Usain Bolt used to run and like he would slow down to like see, like he would slow, like if he like either he would like break the record or like he would slow down and be like, oh, someone's about to catch up and like just take off. Like he would like smile. There's a video and running, and as he's running, he looks to his right, and this guy is running as fast as he can. He smiles at the guy, and he just takes off running. Like he dominated him, and everyone's like, how, right? And so, and then Serena Williams did the same thing. She was dominating this women's sport of tennis, which is very competitive, and so you're gonna have different people. So the question is, who dominated their sport? So the answer is, at the end of the day, for that conversation, is Tom Brady, because he did it on a long-term scale, right? But athleticism-wise, to their sport, who is the greatest athlete for their sport? LeBron James.
I think when you get
$1
I think when you get to individual sports, it's a whole different ball game. So that's why I was going on the team sports, just, excluding soccer, football, however, what you want to call it. But, just going in the big four per se, that the American sports, that's more where I was going. Because individual sports, yes, there are players that are more dominant to sport. You mentioned Serena Williams, you mentioned Tiger Woods, you mentioned Usain Bolt, Michael Phelps. Those guys were obviously more dominant, their sport, than Tom Brady was. But when you're talking about a team sport, it's a bit more difficult to dominate your sport because you have so many other surrounding factors. So that's really our conclusion, right? He's not the best athlete of all time by the definition of the word athlete, but he's the most dominant player in any team sport, in any American team sport at least. And Usain Bolt, I would have to agree with you, Mike. He's probably the most dominant. I mean, he never loses. Michael Phelps is up there too, but other swimmers have won. So that's really where we draw the line here. Athlete, domination, which one is it? We went domination. You can go athlete. Let us know, what do you think? Is a Tom Brady the greatest athlete of all time? However you want to define an athlete, that's up to you, or it's up to Merriam-Webster. Either way, thank you for joining us, everyone. This has been a blast. Tom Brady has retired from the NFL after 22 years.
Joe Burrow is winning the Super Bowl.
That's right, baby. Remember to subscribe to the podcast, and thank you for joining us.